Have you ever wondered how a machine can look at a bunch of data and find a cluster of stars shaped like a spiral? Or how it could identify a winding river of data points on a map? Well, today we're going to dig into a really cool algorithm that's built for exactly that. It's called density-based spatial clustering of applications with noise, but thankfully we can just call it DBSCAN. So let's start with a really basic question. When a machine sees a whole mess of data points, how does it even begin to figure out which ones belong together? How does it find those natural groups, or what we call clusters?
Well, a super common way to do this, used by famous algorithms like k-means, is to try and find the center of each group. The logic is pretty straightforward. Find a central point, a centroid, and then just grab all the data points closest to it and call that a cluster.
And you know what? For certain kinds of data, this works like a charm. If your data happens to be in nice, neat, little round blobs, a center-based approach is going to get it right pretty much every time. The groups are obvious, and the centers are easy to spot.
But let's be real-world data is almost never that clean. What happens when your clusters are shaped like, say, these two crescent moons? An algorithm that's only looking for round centers gets totally lost. It just can't see the real pattern. And this is the exact problem that DBSCAN was created to solve.
So that brings us to our first big idea here: the shape of data. The problem isn't just about grouping points. It's about respecting the actual shape that those groups want to form naturally. So here's the bottom line. An algorithm like k-means makes one huge assumption, that all clusters are basically spheres. But in the real world, data shows up in all kinds of crazy shapes. We're talking rings, winding lines, you name it. We need a tool that doesn't try to shove a square peg into a round hole.
And to do that, we have to flip our whole way of thinking on its head. We need to stop looking for centers and start looking at how crowded or dense the data is. Which brings us to our next section, thinking in density. This one sentence, right here, is the entire philosophy behind DBSCAN. Just forget about centers for a second. A cluster is just a crowded area of points, and it's separated from other crowded areas by empty space. It's so simple, so intuitive, and it's incredibly powerful.
Let's try an analogy. If k-means is trying to find the geographical center of a city, DBSCAN is looking for the bustling downtown neighborhoods, no matter how weirdly they're shaped. It's not looking for an arbitrary middle point. It's looking for the crowds.
Okay, so to really get how DBSCAN finds these crowds, we need to learn the lingo. This next section is all about the anatomy of a cluster. We're going to define the 3 key types of points it uses to understand the data. First up is epsilon, which you'll often see written as that Greek letter epsilon. The easiest way to think about this is like a point's personal space bubble. It's a radius we draw around every single point, and that circle defines its local neighborhood. Any other point inside that bubble, we call it a neighbor. The second key ingredient is minPts. This is basically our rule for what counts as a crowd. If a point's epsilon bubble, that personal space bubble we just talked about, has at least this minimum number of other points inside it, then we say, okay, this is a dense area. Now, with those 2 parameters set, we can finally start labeling our points. And the most important one is the core point. A point gets to be a core point if its epsilon neighborhood is crowded enough, meaning it has at least minPts inside. These are the points deep inside a dense region. They're the absolute heart of a cluster. Next up, we've got border points. Now, a border point isn't in a dense enough area to be a core point itself, but it is a close neighbor to a core point. Think of these as living on the edge of the cluster. They're definitely part of the group, but they're on the outskirts. And finally, any point that isn't a core point and isn't a border point gets labeled as a noise point. These are your true outliers, the lonely points sitting out in sparse, low-density areas. And honestly, one of DBSCAN's greatest superpowers is that it automatically finds and just ignores these guys. So we have our cast of characters: core, border, and noise. But how do they actually come together to form a cluster? Let's move on and see how these clusters actually grow. The algorithm itself is actually pretty elegant. It just picks a random point that it hasn't looked at yet and asks, hey, are you a core point? If the answer is yes, boom, a new cluster is born. Then it starts expanding that cluster by grabbing all of its neighbors, and then their neighbors, and so on. It just keeps doing this until every single point has been checked. This process creates a kind of chain reaction called density reachability. It's like this. You start with one core point, And if it can reach another core point in its neighborhood, they link up. The cluster just keeps growing organically, spreading from one core point to the next until it finally hits an empty patch of space where it can't find any more neighbors. Okay, that's how it works in theory, and it sounds pretty great, right? But what are the real-world trade-offs? In this last section, let's take a look at the payoffs and pitfalls of using DBSCN. Looking at this table really makes the differences pop. With DBSCAN, you don't have to guess how many clusters there are beforehand, unlike k-means. It can find any shape, it automatically deals with noise, and it's way more robust against outliers that would totally throw off a model that's based on finding centers.
So let's just recap the big wins here. 1. It finds clusters of literally any shape. 2. It automatically finds and flags outliers as noise. And 3, this is a huge one, you don't have to tell it how many clusters you're looking for. It figures that out all by itself just by looking at the density of your data.
But, of course, it's not a silver bullet. It has its weaknesses. The biggest one is that your results can be super sensitive to the epsilon value you choose. It also starts to struggle if you have clusters that have very different densities from each other, and, like a lot of algorithms, it can get a bit slow and confused when you have data with a ton of dimensions. And that brings us to the most practical million-dollar question. If the whole thing hinges on picking a good epsilon, how in the world do you actually do that? You can't just guess, right? Thankfully, there's a pretty standard trick called the k-distance plot. It sounds complicated, but it's not. You just set k to be the same as your minPts value. Then, for every single point, you calculate how far away its kth nearest neighbor is. You take all those distances, sort them, and plot them. You'll get a graph that shoots up, and you're looking for the elbow, the exact spot where it suddenly gets steep. That elbow point is a fantastic estimate for your epsilon value.
So DBSCAN is an amazing tool for finding clusters of any shape, as long as they all share the same general idea of what dense means. But that leaves us with one last, really interesting question. What do you do when you have a really sparse, spread-out cluster right next to a super dense, tight one? How do you handle data where the very definition of a crowd changes from one neighborhood to the next? Well, that is a challenge for another day, and for even more advanced algorithms.